Zara Adebayo adjusted her glasses and stared at the spreadsheet. The numbers didn't just scream, they wept. She had been in Seoul for 6 months, hiding from a London betrayal that still left a metallic taste in her mouth. The job was simple: audit a private investment firm. But the ledgers told a different story. Shell companies. Fictitious art sales. A river of cash flowing into a single black hole. A laundering operation. She should have walked out. Instead, she kept typing. The door opened without a knock. 2 men in black suits entered first, hands folded. Then him. Kang Dae-hyun moved like a blade wrapped in silk. His suit was charcoal, his tie perfectly knotted, but his eyes were winter storms. He didn't sit. He stood across the conference table, looking at her as if she were a stain on his floor. "You are not supposed to be here," he said. His voice was low, almost gentle. That made it worse. Zara closed her laptop. Slowly. "Your CFO hired me. If he didn't clear it with you, that's a management problem, not mine." One of the bodyguards shifted. Dae-hyun raised a single finger. The room went still. "Who sent you?" he asked. "Korea University. Magna cum laude. Then a recruitment firm. Then my own 2 feet. She stood up, meeting his height. "You're bleeding money. About 2 billion won a quarter. I found it in 40 minutes. You're welcome." Silence. Dae-hyun walked around the table. He stopped close enough that she could smell cedar and something metallic, gun oil. "You are either very brave or very stupid." "I'm an auditor," Zara said. "We're all a little stupid. It's the hours." For a fraction of a second, the corner of his mouth twitched. Then it was gone. He pulled out a chair and sat across from her, folding his hands. "Tell me what you found." She did. Every lie, every ghost transaction, every hidden account. She named 3 names, his own lieutenants. By the time she finished, his face had turned to stone. "Pack your things," he said quietly. "You're not leaving this building." Zara's heart hammered, but her voice didn't shake. "Am I a prisoner or a consultant?" "You're an asset." He stood, looking down at her. "You will find every leak in my organization. Then we will discuss your freedom." "And if I refuse?" Dae-hyun leaned in. His breath brushed her ear. "Then you will learn why men in this city pray they never hear my name." He walked out. The bodyguard stayed. Zara sat back down, opened her laptop, and whispered to the empty room, "You have no idea what you just invited, Mr. Kang." She smiled. It was not a kind smile. 7 days. Zara had counted every single one. The penthouse was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows, marble bathrooms, a bed she could lose herself in. But the door was always locked from the outside. And the cameras were everywhere. Small black domes in every corner. Watching. She worked anyway. Spreadsheets open on her laptop. Red ink bleeding across the screen like wounds. Kang Dae-hyun's empire was a beautiful lie held together by greed and fear. She found 3 more accounts he didn't know existed. 2 of them belonged to the same lieutenant she had named on day 1. Park Sung-ho. The man who smiled at Dae-hyun while stealing millions. On the 3rd day, Dae-hyun brought her coffee himself. A small ceramic cup. Perfectly brewed. He set it down without a word and stood by the window, watching the Seoul skyline. "You're not eating," he said. "I'm not hungry." "You're lying." She looked up. His reflection stared back at her from the glass. "You're keeping me in a cage and you're worried about my appetite?" His jaw tightened. "It's not a cage. It's protection." "From what?" "From yourself." He turned around. "You know too much. If my enemies find out, they will take you. Torture you. And I will have to kill them all." He said it like a weather report. Cold. Factual. Zara closed her laptop. "That's the 2nd time you've implied I'm a liability." "I'm not. I'm your best asset. But you're too arrogant to see it." Something flickered in his eyes. Not anger. Curiosity. On the 5th day, she requested a chess set. He brought it himself again. Gold and obsidian pieces. Ridiculously expensive. They played 3 games. She won 2. He won 1. "You think strategically," he said, studying the board. "Most accountants just follow the numbers. Most accountants aren't locked in a tower by a crime boss. You're not afraid of me." It wasn't a question. She didn't answer. On the seventh day, she made her move. A USB drive. Small. Unassuming. She slipped it into an envelope addressed to a friend in London. Then she handed it to the guard who brought her dinner. "Mail this," she said. "It's personal." The guard took it. She knew he would bring it straight to Dae-hyun. 2 hours later, the penthouse door slammed open. Dae-hyun stood in the doorway, the envelope torn in his hand. The USB drive dangled from his fingers. His face was carved from ice, but his breathing was fast. Controlled rage. "What is this?" he asked. "My insurance." He crossed the room in 4 strides. His body pinned her against the desk. One hand braced on either side of her. His face inches from hers. "You sent information to an outsider. That is betrayal." "No." She didn't move. Didn't blink. "That is a test." His eyes narrowed. "The drive is empty," she said calmly. "I wanted to see if you were smart enough to intercept it. You passed." She tilted her head. "But it took you 2 hours. Your security is slow. Fix it." For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then something broke behind his eyes. The ice cracked. "You're insane," he whispered. "I'm thorough." He kissed her. Not gently. Not asking. His mouth crushed against hers like he was trying to swallow her whole. His hands gripped her waist, pulling her off the desk and into his body. She should have pushed him away. Should have reminded him of her rules. Instead, she grabbed his tie and pulled him closer. The kiss deepened. His tongue slid against hers. He tasted like whiskey and power. One hand tangled in her hair, tilting her head back. She bit his lower lip, hard. He groaned against her mouth. Then she pulled away. Both of them breathing fast. His forehead pressed against hers. His hands still on her hips. "Next time," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "you ask." Dae-hyun laughed. A real laugh. Dark and low and dangerous. "You think I ask for anything? I think you've never met someone who wouldn't break for you." She pushed against his chest. "Just enough to create space. I'm not one of your soldiers, Mr. Kang. I'm not one of your women. I am the person holding your entire future in a spreadsheet. So yes. You will ask." He stared at her for a long time. Then he stepped back. "Park Sung-ho," he said quietly. "You named him on day 1. Why?" "Because he's stealing from you. 23 billion won over 18 months. Hidden in a fake construction subsidiary." She picked up her coffee, now cold. "I can prove it. But you have to let me out of this cage first." Dae-hyun walked to the window. His reflection was unreadable again. "You're not a prisoner, Zara. You never were." "Then what am I?" He turned. Looked at her. Really looked. "Mine to protect," he said. "For now." The word hung between them. "Mine." Zara smiled. "Slow. Sharp. We'll see about that." The contract arrived the next morning. Printed on heavy cream paper. Sealed with wax. Dae-hyun's theatrics were exhausting. Zara read it twice. 1 month. Personal financial consultant. Private residence required. 20 times her usual rate. And a clause that made her pause: the consultant will not be harmed, detained, or surveilled beyond standard security measures. He had listened. She signed it in red ink. Then she wrote 3 rules on the back. 1. No interruptions during work hours. 2. Answer all my questions honestly. 3. Keep your hands to yourself unless invited. Below, she added, violation voids contract. Full payment still due. Dae-hyun read it in silence. His expression didn't change. But his ears turned red. "Agreed," he said. Moving into his residence was strange. The house sat on a hill overlooking the Han River. Modern. Cold. Beautiful. Everything was gray or black or white. No photographs. No clutter. It smelled like him, cedar and something metallic. He gave her the east wing. A bedroom, an office, a private bath. Separate from his quarters. "Safe enough?" he asked. "For now." The first 3 nights were quiet. She worked. He worked. They ate dinner across from each other in silence. He watched her. She ignored him. On the 4th night, the storm hit. Rain slammed against the windows. Thunder rattled the walls. The power flickered twice, then died. Emergency lights clicked on, dim and orange. Zara found him in the living room. He stood by the window, watching the city disappear behind sheets of water. "The generator will kick in soon," he said without turning. "I'm not worried about the lights." He looked at her then. Rain streaked the glass behind him. Shadows carved his face into something almost human. "What are you worried about?" She walked to the wet bar. Poured 2 fingers of whiskey into a crystal glass. Drank it straight. Then poured another. "London," she said. "Before Seoul. I had someone." Dae-hyun said nothing. He waited. His name was Marcus. British. Charming. He said I was too much, too loud, too dark, too ambitious. So he found someone smaller. Someone easier. She swirled the whiskey. "But first, he spent 6 months convincing me I was the problem. That if I just tried harder, smiled more, shrank myself down enough, he would love me properly." The storm howled. "I didn't shrink," she continued. "I left. But some mornings I still wake up trying to be quiet." Dae-hyun crossed the room. He stopped an arm's length away. Close enough to touch. Far enough to choose. "I have never loved anyone," he said quietly. "I have owned. I have protected. I have destroyed. But love requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is a wound I cannot afford." "Then why am I here?" He reached out. His fingers brushed her wrist. Featherlight. "Because you looked at me like I was not a monster," he said. "And I wanted to know what that felt like." The whiskey burned in her stomach. The rain hammered the roof. His hand was still on her wrist. Warm. Steady. She set down the glass. Then she kissed him. Not like before, not a battle. This was slower. Deeper. Her lips brushed his once, twice, then pressed fully. He made a sound low in his throat. His hands found her waist. Pulled her closer. She unbuttoned his shirt. 1 button. 2. 3. His chest was warm beneath her palms. Scars mapped his skin, old wounds, faded white lines. "You wanted control," she whispered against his mouth. "Let me show you what it feels like to lose it." His breath hitched. She pushed him backward. His legs hit the couch. He sat down hard, looking up at her with dark, hungry eyes. The mighty Kang Dae-hyun, undone by a woman in a thunderstorm. She straddled him. Slow. Deliberate. Her thighs pressed against his hips. "Rule 3, he said, voice strained. "Keep my hands to myself. I invited you." His control snapped. He grabbed her hips. Flipped them both. She landed on her back against the leather cushions, and he was above her, his weight pressing her down, his mouth on her neck. Teeth scraping her pulse point. "This is not losing control," he growled against her skin. "This is claiming." She laughed, breathless, sharp. "Then claim me, Dae-hyun." He did. His hands explored every curve. Her blouse came undone. His mouth followed. Hot. Demanding. She arched beneath him, fingers tangled in his hair, pulling hard enough to make him groan. "Tell me," she gasped. "Tell me you've never wanted anyone like this." "I've never wanted anyone," he admitted. His forehead pressed against her chest. His voice was wrecked. "Not like this. Not like you." She lifted his chin. Made him meet her eyes. "Then stop treating me like a weakness," she said. "I'm not your weakness. I'm your equal. Act like it." Something shifted in his face. Surrender. Not to her, to the truth of it. He kissed her again. Slower this time. Reverent. The storm raged outside. Inside, they burned. Later, much later, they lay tangled on the couch. His arm wrapped around her waist. Her head on his chest. The emergency lights flickered. "I still have questions," she murmured. "Ask." "Park Sung-ho. Why haven't you killed him?" Dae-hyun was quiet for a long moment. "Because killing him would start a war. I need proof that will turn his allies against him first." "I can get you that proof." "I know." She tilted her head up. Looked at his profile, sharp jaw, tired eyes, the ghost of something soft around his mouth. "You trusted me," she said. "I trusted the numbers. You just happened to come with them." Romantic. He smiled. A real smile. Rare and devastating. Stay, he said. Not a command. A request. I'm not going anywhere. The rain began to slow. The generator finally kicked on. Lights flooded the room, revealing the mess they had made, scattered pillows, her blouse on the floor, his shirt hanging open. Zara sat up. Stretched. Felt his eyes follow every movement. Tomorrow, she said, we work. Tonight. Tonight, he interrupted, pulling her back down, you belong to me. She kissed his jaw. Soft. Promising. We'll see about that. The war began at midnight. Not with weapons. With silk sheets and whispered dares. Dae-hyun had given her his bedroom after the storm. His bed. His pillows. His scent wrapped around her like a second skin. But he still slept in his own quarters, 3 doors down, a universe away. Until the third night. Zara heard him pacing. Back and forth. Back and forth. Then her door opened without a knock. You're awake, he said. You're pacing. He stood in the doorway. Barefoot. Hair disheveled. Wearing only loose black pants that hung low on his hips. The scars on his torso caught the moonlight, stories written in silver. I can't sleep, he admitted. Then don't. She held out her hand. He crossed the room in 3 strides. Took her hand. Pulled her up against him. His mouth found hers, not gentle. Never gentle with them. It was teeth and tongue and the desperate clash of 2 people who had never learned to ask nicely. She bit his lower lip. He growled. Bed, she commanded. You're giving orders in my house? You're in my room. His eyes darkened. He lifted her, effortless, and carried her to the bed. Laid her out like an offering. Then he stepped back. Take off your clothes, he said. No. His jaw tightened. Zara. You heard me. She propped herself up on her elbows. The silk camisole she wore slipped off one shoulder. She didn't fix it. You want something? Take it. I'm not a performer for your entertainment. He stared at her for a long, dangerous moment. Then he moved. His hands were everywhere. Tugging. Pulling. The camisole tore at the seam. She gasped, not from fear, from heat. His mouth followed the path of destruction. Her neck. Her collarbone. The swell of her breast. She grabbed his hair. Yanked his head back. My turn. She pushed him onto the bed. He landed hard, surprise flickering across his face. She straddled him. Pinned his wrists above his head. You like control, she said, grinding down against him. He groaned. So do I. Then fight me for it. She did. What followed was not making love. It was war. He flipped her. She scratched his back. He pinned her thighs apart with his knees. She wrapped her legs around his waist and reversed their positions again. The bed creaked. The headboard slammed against the wall. Neither of them cared. When he finally entered her, they both went still. His forehead pressed against hers. Sweat dripped from his temple onto her cheek. Look at me, he commanded. She opened her eyes. And she saw it, the thing he had been hiding. Not hunger. Not dominance. Fear. He was terrified of how much he wanted her. She cupped his face. Thumbs tracing his cheekbones. I'm right here, she whispered. I'm not leaving. He moved. Slow at first. Then harder. Faster. Each thrust a question she answered with her hips, her nails, her teeth. He buried his face in her neck. Said her name like a prayer and a curse all at once. Zara. 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 She came first, a shattered, gasping thing that made her see stars. He followed immediately, muffling his groan against her shoulder. For a long time, neither spoke. The moonlight shifted across the ceiling. His weight pressed her into the mattress. She traced the scars on his ribs. This one, she said softly. How? Knife. Busan. 10 years ago. And this? A raised line near his collarbone. Bullet. Grazed me. I was careless. Are you still careless? He lifted his head. Looked at her. With you? Yes. Constantly. She smiled. Ran her thumb over the scar one more time. I despise that I need you, he whispered. The words hung in the dark. Heavy. Honest. Zara pulled him closer. Wrapped her arms around his neck. Felt his heartbeat against her chest, fast, uneven, nothing like the cold man who had trapped her in a conference room. Good, she said. Because I'm not going anywhere. He laughed quietly. The sound vibrated through her. You're impossible. You're insufferable. We're doomed. Probably. He kissed her forehead. Then her nose. Then her mouth. Slow. Tender. Nothing like the war before. I meant what I said, he murmured against her lips. I've never wanted anyone. Not like this. Not where the wanting makes me weak. It doesn't make you weak, she said. It makes you human. I don't want to be human. Humans die. Humans betray. Humans also love. He went still. She held his gaze. You don't have to say it back. But you should know, I'm not afraid of your darkness, Dae-hyun. I have my own. What darkness could you possibly have? She took his hand. Placed it over her heart. Marcus didn't just leave me. He tried to destroy my career. Told every firm in London I was unstable. A liability. I lost 2 years of my life rebuilding from ashes. Her voice didn't shake. I know what it means to be burned by someone you trusted. So don't hide from me. I've seen worse. Dae-hyun stared at her. Then he did something unexpected. He kissed her scar. The one on her ribs. The one Marcus had left behind, not physically, but emotionally. He pressed his lips to the spot where her ex-fiancée's betrayal still lived. I will never hurt you like that, he said. I may destroy everything else. But never you. It was not a love confession. It was better. It was a promise. Zara pulled him back into her arms. The moonlight faded. The room grew dark. And they stayed tangled together, silk and steel, fire and ice, until the sun rose over the Han River. In the morning, she woke up alone. But there was coffee on the nightstand. And a note in his sharp handwriting. Work waits. But tonight, you're mine again. She smiled. Took a sip of coffee. Wrote back on the same paper. We'll see about that. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Black silk. Red wax seal. No return address. Zara found it tucked under her laptop, which meant someone had been in her office while she slept. She opened it slowly. Inside, a single card, thick as bone. Gold embossing. Ms. Adebayo. You have intrigued the right people. The Grand Hall, Saturday at 8. Come alone. B.S. Below, handwritten in elegant script, were something unforgettable. Zara knew the name. Everyone in Seoul's underworld knew Baek Seo-jun. He was Dae-hyun's mirror, same ruthlessness, different face. Where Dae-hyun ruled through fear and precision, Seo-jun ruled through charm and poison. He smiled while he cut throats. She showed Dae-hyun the invitation at dinner. He read it once. His chopsticks stopped mid-air. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. No, he said. I wasn't asking permission. You're not going. She set down her wine glass. Explain why. Because Baek Seo-jun collects women like trophies. He will try to use you. Touch you. Hurt you. His voice was flat, but his knuckles were white around his chopsticks. I will not allow it. You don't get to allow or disallow anything. He stood up. The chair scraped against marble. I am not discussing this. Yes, you are. She stood too. Sit down, Kang Dae-hyun. They faced each other across the table. The candles flickered. The staff had disappeared, smart of them. I am trying to protect you, he said through clenched teeth. No. You're trying to control me. There's a difference. She stepped closer. I am not one of your soldiers. I am not one of your possessions. I am the woman who saved your company from bleeding out. And I am going to that gala. Why? Because Seo-jun thinks he can use me. That means he'll be careless. He'll show me things. Tell me things. She touched his chest. Felt his heart racing beneath her palm. I can destroy him with information. But only if you let me work. His hand covered hers. Squeezed. If he touches you. He won't. I'm smarter than him. That's not the point. Then what is? He looked away. The muscles in his jaw worked. Jealousy, she said softly. You're jealous. I am not. You are. She tilted his chin back toward her. You hate the idea of another man looking at me. Talking to me. Wanting me. His eyes burned. Yes. The word was raw. Torn from somewhere deep. Then come with me, she said. I wasn't invited. Crash it. You're good at that. Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Then dark amusement. You want me to walk into my enemy's party. Uninvited. Surrounded by his men. I want you to show Seoul that Kang Dae-hyun is not afraid of Baek Seo-jun. She stepped back. Picked up her wine glass. Took a slow sip. And I want you to watch me work. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. Low and dangerous. You are going to be the death of me. Probably, she agreed. But what a way to go. Saturday arrived too fast. Zara chose her dress carefully. Crimson. Backless. Slit up the thigh. Gold jewelry that caught the light. She braided her hair back from her face, let the rest fall in loose curls. When she walked into the living room, Dae-hyun went still. You're staring, she said. You're breathtaking. That's not the same as unforgettable. It is tonight. He wore all black. A tailored suit that made him look like a funeral wrapped in danger. No tie. Collar open. A silver watch glinted at his wrist. You'll enter first, he said. I'll follow in 30 minutes. If anything feels wrong. I'll text you the word crimson. Good. He pulled her close. Kissed her hard. Come back to me. I always do. The grand hall was a palace of lies. Chandeliers. Champagne. Music that floated like perfume. Everyone was beautiful and everyone was armed. Zara felt the eyes on her the moment she stepped inside, curious, hungry, calculating. And then she saw him. Baek Seo-jun was devastating. Long hair tied back. A smile that promised pleasure and pain in equal measure. He wore ivory, a deliberate contrast to Dae-hyun's black. Ms. Adebayo, he said, taking her hand. His lips brushed her knuckles. You're even more stunning than they said. They say a lot of things. Only the interesting ones. He tucked her hand into the crook of his arm. Walk with me. She let him lead her through the crowd. Past politicians. Past criminals in designer gowns. Past a woman who stared at Zara with naked jealousy. You're very brave to come alone, Seo-jun said. I'm not alone. I'm never alone. He stopped. Turned to face her. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Dae-hyun doesn't own you, does he? No one owns me. Good. He stepped closer. His hand found her waist. Because I find myself very interested in acquisitions. Zara didn't move. Didn't flinch. I'm not an acquisition. Everyone is an acquisition. They just don't know it yet. She leaned in. Her lips almost touched his ear. Then let me tell you something you don't know. The construction subsidiary you're using to launder money? The one Park Sung-ho helped you set up. She felt him go rigid. I found it in 40 minutes. And I have the proof. Seo-jun pulled back. His charming mask slipped, just for a second. Long enough for her to see the predator beneath. You're bluffing. I don't bluff. I audit. The crowd parted. Dae-hyun walked through like a blade through silk. His eyes found Seo-jun's hand on Zara's waist. His face went blank, the most dangerous expression he had. Baek, he said. You're touching something that belongs to me. Seo-jun's smile returned. Sharp. I didn't see your name on her. You're seeing it now. Dae-hyun crossed the remaining distance. He didn't draw a weapon. Didn't raise his voice. He simply pulled Zara against him, one arm around her waist, and kissed her. In front of everyone. The room went silent. The music stopped. 200 people watched Kang Dae-hyun stake his claim. When he finally pulled back, Zara was breathless. Her lipstick smeared. Her heart racing. Dae-hyun looked at Seo-jun. She is the air I breathe, he said quietly. Touch her again, and I will burn your entire world to ash. Every building. Every bank account. Every man who ever swore loyalty to you. He smiled. It was terrible. Do you understand? Seo-jun's face was pale. He nodded once. Good. Dae-hyun took Zara's hand. We're leaving. He didn't wait for an answer. He pulled her through the crowd, out the doors, into the cold night air. The limousine waited at the curb. The moment the door closed, Zara exploded. You ruined everything. I protected you. I had him. I had the proof, I had him off balance, and you. He kissed her again. Desperate. Terrified. His hands shook against her face. I watched him touch you, he whispered against her mouth. And I saw red. Not strategy. Not logic. Just red. He pulled back. His eyes were wet. I was afraid. For the first time in my life, I was truly afraid. Zara stared at him. Then she kissed him back. The limousine pulled away from the curb. The city lights blurred past the windows. And in the back seat, two enemies burned together, angry, terrified, completely undone. The limousine curved through the dark streets of Seoul. The city glittered beyond the windows, neon and steel, beauty and rot. Zara pulled back from the kiss. Her chest heaved. Her lipstick was ruined. She didn't care. You had no right, she said. I had every right. Dae-hyun's voice was hoarse. His hands still trembled against her face. He was going to hurt you. He was going to expose himself. There's a difference. Not to me. She pushed his hands away. Moved to the opposite seat. Put distance between them. You don't get to destroy my operation because you're jealous. I wasn't jealous. His jaw tightened. I was terrified. Same difference. No. He leaned forward. Elbows on his knees. Hands clasped together. Jealousy is wanting what someone else has. Terror is the cold knowledge that without you, I will break. The words landed like stones in still water. Zara stared at him. I spent 10 years building an empire, he continued. Men fear me. Women want me. My enemies pray for my death. And none of it matters. He looked up. His eyes were dark and raw. None of it matters because the woman I love was standing 2 inches from a man who would have slit her throat and smiled while she bled. The woman I love. The words hung between them. Unrepeatable. Unavoidable. You love me, she whispered. I told you I despised needing you. A bitter smile crossed his face. I was lying. I don't despise it. I worship it. I worship you. The limousine stopped at a red light. The driver's partition was up. They were alone in a bubble of silence and truth. Zara crossed the distance between them. She didn't speak. She simply climbed into his lap. Straddled him. Pressed her forehead against his. I'm still angry, she said. I know. You ruined weeks of work. I know. Baek Seo-jun is going to be twice as careful now. I know. She kissed him. Soft. Brief. I love you too. His breath caught. You're not supposed to say that when you're angry. I'm not supposed to do a lot of things. She unbuttoned his collar. Pressed her lips to his throat. Felt his pulse hammer beneath her mouth. I'm not supposed to want a criminal. I'm not supposed to trust a man who keeps guns in his. I'm not supposed to fall asleep in the arms of someone who has ended lives. Zara. But I do. She pulled back. Looked him in the eye. I love you, Kang Dae-hyun. And I hate you for making me feel safe when I know I'm not. He kissed her then. Not desperate this time. Not claiming. Something else. Something softer and more devastating. He kissed her like she was holy. The limousine started moving again. Neither noticed. His hand slid up her back. Found the zipper of her crimson dress. Pulled it down slowly. The fabric pooled around her waist. Cool air met warm skin. Here, she murmured against his mouth. Here. He kissed her collarbone. Now. You're insufferable. You love it. She laughed, breathless, bright. I love you. There's a difference. Same difference. She smacked his chest. He caught her wrist. Kissed her palm. The dress fell away completely. His jacket followed. Then his shirt. Buttons scattered across the floor. Neither cared. He laid her back against the leather seat. The city lights painted stripes across her bare skin, red, gold, white. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Tell me again, he said, hovering over her. I love you. Again. I love you, you impossible, arrogant, beautiful. He silenced her with his mouth. The limousine glided through the night. The driver kept his eyes forward. The partition stayed closed. And in the back, two people who had spent their whole lives building walls finally let them fall. This was not gentle. It was furious and tender and everything in between. He learned the map of her body, every scar, every secret, every place that made her gasp. She learned the way he shuddered when she whispered his name, the way his hands gentled when she traced his face. Afterward, they lay tangled together on the leather seat. Her head on his chest. His arm wrapped around her waist. The dress was ruined. His shirt was somewhere on the floor. I meant what I said, he murmured into her hair. About Seo-jun. If he comes near you again, you'll destroy him. I know. I'm serious. So am I. She tilted her head up. Looked at him. But you have to let me help. I'm not a damsel, Dae-hyun. I'm your partner. Your equal. Or I'm nothing. He was quiet for a long moment. You're not nothing, he said finally. You're everything. Then treat me like it. The limousine pulled into the underground garage of his residence. The engine cut off. The driver got out without a word. Dae-hyun helped her sit up. Found her underwear. Handed it to her. Then her dress, beyond saving. You're staying in my room tonight, he said. Was that a question? No. She smiled. Good answer. They dressed in silence. His shirt. Her heels. The walk from the garage to the bedroom was a blur of elevators and hallways and security guards who very carefully did not look at them. The moment the bedroom door closed, she pushed him against it. We're not done, she said. I wasn't suggesting we were. She kissed him. Hard. He lifted her. Her legs wrapped around his waist. They stumbled toward the bed. Tomorrow, she said between kisses, we make a plan for Seo-jun. Tomorrow. Tonight. Tonight, he interrupted, laying her down on the silk sheets, you belong to me. And you belong to me. He paused. Looked down at her. His hair fell across his forehead. His lips were swollen. His eyes were soft in a way no one else had ever seen. Yes, he said quietly. I do. She pulled him down. The night stretched on, long and dark and full of fire. They talked between kisses. Argued between touches. Made promises with their bodies that words could never hold. And when dawn finally broke over the Han River, Zara was still in his arms. Her cheek pressed against his chest. His heartbeat steady beneath her ear. I can hear you thinking, he murmured. I'm thinking about forever. His arms tightened around her. Good, he said. Because I wasn't planning on letting you go. She smiled against his skin. We'll see about that. The contract ended on a Sunday. Zara woke to sunlight and the empty space beside her. Cold sheets. No note. No coffee. She found Dae-hyun in his study. He sat behind his desk, staring at nothing. The room was dark despite the morning. Heavy curtains blocked the light. The contract is up, he said without looking at her. I can read a calendar. You should pack. She crossed her arms. Leaned against the doorframe. Is that what you want? What I want has never mattered. Answer the question, Dae-hyun. He stood. Walked to the window. Pulled the curtain back an inch. Gray light sliced across his face. I have spent 10 years building walls, he said quietly. Stone walls. Iron walls. Walls that no one could climb or break or burn. And then you arrived. He let the curtain fall. Turned to face her. You didn't climb the walls, Zara. You walked through them like they were made of paper. And now I don't know who I am without you. Then don't find out. You don't understand. He crossed the room. Stopped inches from her. I am a monster. I have done things. I know what you've done. No. You know the numbers. The accounts. The surface. His voice cracked. You don't know the blood. The bodies. The men I've killed not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Because they looked at me wrong. Because they breathed too loud. Zara didn't flinch. I watched him and beg for his life, he continued. On his knees. Crying for his daughter. And I shot him anyway. 3 times. Point blank. His hands shook. That man had a name. A family. A future. And I erased all of it because he owed me money. Was he going to pay? No. Was he going to run? Probably. Was he going to come back with a weapon? Dae-hyun was silent. That's what I thought. She stepped closer. I'm not saying you're a good man, Dae-hyun. You're not. But you're not a monster either. Monsters don't feel guilt. Monsters don't lie awake at 3 in the morning replaying their sins. She touched his face. You're a man who has done terrible things. There's a difference. You deserve someone clean. I don't want clean. I want you. He closed his eyes. His whole body trembled. I can't lose you, he whispered. If you leave. Who said I was leaving? The contract. Screw the contract. She grabbed his tie. Pulled him down to her level. I'm not a contractor, Dae-hyun. I'm not an asset. I'm not a liability. I am the woman who loves you. And I am not leaving. His eyes opened. Wet. Raw. You should. I should do a lot of things. I should go back to London. I should find a nice man with a safe job and a safe smile. I should forget I ever met you. She kissed him. Soft. Brief. But I won't. Because you are the first person who ever saw me, all of me, and didn't look away. He broke. Kang Dae-hyun, the most feared man in Seoul, dropped to his knees. Not in prayer. Not in submission to any god. In surrender to her. I hated you, he said, voice cracking. When you first walked into that conference room, I hated you. Your calm. Your confidence. The way you looked at me like I was just a man. Not a king. Not a monster. Just a man. Zara sank down with him. Knees touching. Foreheads together. I tried to push you away, he continued. Every cruel word. Every cold look. Every time I reminded you that you were a prisoner. I was trying to make you hate me. Because if you hated me, you would leave. And if you left, I could go back to the darkness. The silence. The cold that I understood. But I didn't leave. No. A tear slipped down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. You stayed. You fought back. You bit my lip and called me insufferable and told me we would see about that. A broken laugh escaped him. And somewhere between the chess games and the thunderstorms and the way you say my name like it's something precious, somewhere in all of that, I fell. Hard. Deep. Irreversibly. Dae-hyun. Let me finish. He took her hands. Pressed them to his chest. His heart hammered beneath her palms. I am not a good man. I will never be a good man. But I can be your man. If you'll have me. If you'll stay. He looked up. Tears on his face. Hope and terror warring in his eyes. You belong to me, Zara Adebayo. Not as a possession. Not as a trophy. As my heart. As my home. As my reason for drawing breath. And there will be no one else. Ever. I swear it on every life I've taken and every life I have left. The room was silent. The sun crept higher. Light bled through the curtains. Dust motes danced in the golden air. Zara looked at the men on his knees before her. The men who had trapped her. Threatened her. Kissed her like a battlefield. The men who had held her through thunderstorms and whispered her name like a prayer. She cupped his face in her hands. Kang Dae-hyun, she said. Look at me. He did. I am not asking you to be good. I am not asking you to erase your past or pretend the blood doesn't exist. I am asking you to be honest. With me. With yourself. With whatever future we build together. I can do that. Can you? She searched his eyes. Because I need to know. I need to know that when things get hard, when Seojun strikes back, when the police get close, when the world tries to tear us apart, you won't shut me out. You won't try to protect me by pushing me away. I won't. Promise me. He lifted his hands. Covered hers against his face. I promise, he said. On everything I am. On everything I hope to become. She kissed him. Not gently. Not softly. A kiss that tasted like tears and salt in the beginning of something new. Then stop being a monster, she whispered against his lips. Be just a man. For me. He pulled her into his arms. Held her so tightly she could barely breathe. I don't know how, he admitted. Then we'll learn together. They stayed on the floor for a long time. Knees aching. Arms wrapped around each other. The sun rose higher. The room grew warm. Eventually, Zara laughed. "What?" he asked. "You dropped to your knees." "I did." The great Kang Dae-hyun. On his knees for a black woman from London. He smiled. A real smile. Wrecked and hopeful and beautiful. "I would get on my knees every day for the rest of my life," he said, "if it meant you would stay." She kissed his forehead. "Then get up," she said. "We have work to do." "What kind of work?" She stood. Pulled him to his feet. Brushed the dust from his pants. "The kind where we take down Baek Seo-jun together. The kind where you stop running your empire from the shadows and start building something legitimate. The kind where we figure out what forever looks like for two broken people who refuse to stay broken." He stared at her. "You really believe we can do all that?" "I really believe we can do anything." She took his hand. Interlaced their fingers. "As long as we do it together." He lifted their joined hands. Kissed her knuckles. "Together," he agreed. 1 year later. The house on the hill was no longer cold. Zara had filled it with color, yellow cushions, blue ceramics, photographs in mismatched frames. Fresh flowers on every table. Music drifting through the halls. Dae-hyun pretended to hate it. But she caught him smiling at the roses. Tracing the edges of their photographs. Adding his own touches, a chest set by the window, her favorite whiskey always stocked, a blanket on the couch for the nights she fell asleep reading. He had changed. Not completely. Not perfectly. He still had guards. Still carried a weapon. Still looked at strangers with suspicion. But the walls had doors now. The ice had cracks. And the blood on his hands had begun to fade. They had spent the year dismantling. Legitimizing. The construction subsidiary was sold. The shell companies dissolved. Baek Seo-jun was in a federal prison. Zara's financial proof had been the final nail. Park Sung-ho had fled the country. No one knew where. Dae-hyun didn't care. He had something better than revenge. He had her. The ceremony was small. No church. No hotel ballroom. Just the backyard of their home, overlooking the Han River. Fairy lights strung between trees. A handful of guests, his most loyal lieutenants, now running legitimate security firms, her closest friends from London, and Mrs. Park, the elderly woman who ran the corner store and had welcomed Zara with open arms. Zara wore gold. A simple dress that caught the sunlight. Her hair in braids threaded with beads. No veil. No train. Just her, barefoot in the grass, walking toward the men who had once been her captor. Dae-hyun wore black. But his tie was crimson. Her color. He didn't wait at the altar. He met her halfway. Took her hands. Kissed her forehead. "You're crying," she whispered. "I'm not." "Your eyes are wet." "It's allergies." "It's April. Spring allergies." She laughed. He smiled. The guests laughed too. There was no officiant. No prayers. No state recognition. This was a vow between two people who had built their own laws. Dae-hyun spoke first. "I was born in shadow," he said. His voice carried across the grass. "Raised in violence. Shaped by cruelty. I believed that love was weakness. That tenderness was a wound. That I would die alone, unmourned, and that was justice." Zara's eyes glistened. "Then you walked into my conference room," he continued. "You looked at me like I was not a monster. You refused to flinch. You bit my lip and called me insufferable and told me we would see about that." A tear slipped down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. "You saw the worst of me. The darkest parts. The blood and the fear and the rot. And you stayed." He lifted her hands to his lips. Kissed each knuckle. "I will spend every breath I have left becoming the version of myself that you deserve. I will never be a good man. But I will be your man. Faithful. Fierce. Forever." He slid a simple black band onto her finger. Zara's voice shook when she spoke. "I came to Seoul running from something," she said. "A man who tried to break me. A life that tried to shrink me. I thought I would hide here. Work here. Leave without leaving a mark." She squeezed his hands. "Then you locked me in a penthouse and accused me of being a spy." Laughter rippled through the guests. "You were arrogant," she continued. "Controlling. Infuriating. You thought you could own me like you owned everything else. She smiled. You were wrong. Dae-hyun grinned. Wrecked and radiant. I am not owned, Kang Dae-hyun. I am chosen. And I choose you. Not despite the darkness, because of it. Because you looked at your own shadows and decided to walk toward the light. For me. For us. She slid a matching black band onto his finger. You called me yours. But know this, you are mine. Body, soul, and every dark secret. Every scar. Every sin. Every sleepless night. Her voice grew fierce. And I protect what's mine. She pulled him down by his tie. I love you, she said against his lips. I love you, he answered. They kissed. The river sparkled. The fairy light swayed. The guests cheered. And somewhere in the distance, a new chapter began. That night, they lay tangled in bed. The same bed where they had fought and loved and broken and healed. Moonlight poured through the windows. Her head rested on his chest. His hand traced lazy patterns on her back. We did it, she murmured. We did. 1 year. A lifetime to go. She tilted her head up. Looked at him. His face was soft in the silver light. The sharp edges blurred. The monster gone. Only the men remained. Sarajima, he whispered. Don't disappear. She smiled. Pressed her lips to his heart. And we. Never. The next morning, Zara sat at her laptop. Dae-hyun brought her coffee. Set it down without a word. Kissed her hair. What are you writing? He asked. Our story, she said. Someone might want to read it someday. He raised an eyebrow. A romance about a mafia boss and an auditor? A romance about two broken people who found each other in the dark. He leaned over. Read the first page. You made me sound handsome. You are handsome. Annoyingly so. And arrogant? Extremely. He kissed her neck. Good. Keep writing. She laughed. Typed the final words. They were not a fairy tale. They were something better. They were real. If you enjoyed this spicy, mature romance between a black woman and a Korean mafia boss, subscribe to my channel, Soul Hearts and Melanin Dreams, for more unique interracial romance stories, full-length audio dramas, and exclusive chapter readings. Click subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new story. Love knows no borders, and neither do we. See you in the next chapter.